What are you up to?
Measuring?
For what? Why are we measuring this window? This window, we're not doing anything.
Because these curtains are awful.
Huh.
And maybe we can get blinds?
Sounds like work.
63.25. Remember that. You'll see, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Huge thanks to SmartWings for sponsoring this video. So note to self, don't leave your tape measure around unless you want someone to start adding extra projects to the list.
We are tackling our entry. It needed to be done. We eventually are gonna do a big mudroom space, so this is not our forever entry, but it's a very budget-friendly update that we thought we'd share with you guys, and we thought we could share 5 simple ways to accessorize or style your entry and basically make an entry out of nothing if you don't have one like us. This is the entry we've been working with. You basically walk right into the living room. I strongly despise it, and I will create a mudroom one day that is functional.
Despise is very strong.
It's how I feel. It's how I feel about the space. We needed to make some changes. It needed to be functional for us in the in-between before we actually have the finances to do the mudrooms.
Yeah. We are gonna reference our old entry in our barn house, just because that worked really well, and I think there's some good inspiration that you can get from there. Our
first tip for small entries is to amplify your space.
Speak loudly.
By amplify your space, what I mean is do things that allow the room to feel bigger. There's a number of ways you can do that. One way is by just painting a lot of the things the same color so that when you look around the room, everything blends, appears bigger. We did that in our old entry when we had painted the drawers and the back walls all the same color. Another thing is adding a mirror, because mirrors are always going to reflect light. So we had a mirror in our old entry, we have a mirror in our new entry, I use in quotes. But it really does make a big difference, and everybody likes checking the mirror before they leave the house, so it's never a bad idea. One of the things we had to do right away in our space was remove the curtains. We had these big, heavy black curtains that we knew were only gonna be temporary, but they blocked so much light, and they were just an eyesore in the space. They did not work. Once the curtains were down, we knew we wanted to add new blinds, and if we were adding new blinds, I also wanted to paint all of the window frames. We had already painted the living room ceiling at this point in the reno, so it just made sense to paint all of the windows black and try and get everything in the space a little bit more cohesive.
And that's where SmartWings come in, and they actually partnered with us and got us some really cool blinds for the room. We got this window painted, and Lindy is away. I want to try and get these blinds installed before she gets home. They're pretty easy. I just need to get a couple brackets mounted in the top of the sill, and then you can just clip the blind in place. So grab the brackets and see if we can get this installed. So these are an electric shade or electric blind, and they have a lot of cool configurations that you can use. They have a whole bunch of different covers. We ultimately went with white just to help lighten up the space.
And because we think that in the future the walls of this space will be white drywall, and we thought hopefully we can reuse the blinds when all of this is done.
Another awesome feature that everyone will appreciate is these are super easy to install. They come with some really easy to install brackets that you install along the window frame, and then the blinds themselves just click in. These are just kind of a clip and go, and even for the power side, you can just use a power bank or a cord to charge them, and they have loads of use in them. Like, we haven't had to charge our blinds since installing them. The nice thing about the blinds as well is you can configure them to go on the outside or on the inside of the window, and for this space we wanted it to go on the inside just because of other plans we had for the space. Okay, Lindy just got home, so I want to show her what I did here. Hi.
Hi.
You have to wear this.
Whoa!
This is in finally.
Oh, that looks good.
So I did this like voice activated, and you just have to say, Russell is the best, and then it does it.
I'm not convinced.
Also, these blinds are compatible with all your smart home controllers, so that makes them really cool to program them for nighttime or when you're gone. There's so many options.
Adding that and allowing the window to be fully open during the day just allowed so much more light into the space. It honestly made a huge difference to that corner of the room.
100%.
The second tip is to organize your space. This, I know, seems obvious, but think about what you actually need in this space and what's going to help your family stay organized. Obviously, in mudroom spaces, floor to ceiling cabinetry or shelving is ideal. We didn't have space for that here. Hopefully one day we will, but that's always my go-to. In the absence of that, we added a nice cabinet on the side that gave some extra storage, and we needed a spot to sit and put shoes on, that kind of stuff.
Store your wife's 100 of shoes.
We have 3 kids. They have a lot of shoes too.
I think someone else has more shoes than them.
There's always those like thin IKEA versions of the shoe cabinets we use on our RV that worked really good. We didn't have space again for that in this space, and we had a pretty low window, so we just decided to build our own for a couple $100.
Yeah, so essentially I just used 2 sheets of plywood and some edge banding and cut it all to size and pocket holed it together and added some stain and varnish, and we had a really nice custom shoe cabinet. And then this is also where the custom blinds worked really well, because we could have the blinds stop inside the window frame, so we could get that bench nice and tight to the wall for a really nice fit.
So we no longer have shoes all over the floor, which was my biggest pain in the butt. I hated it. Now the kids know where their shoes go, everyone tucks them away, and there is a spot to sit and put shoes on.
Everyone always puts their shoes away.
Everybody wins, it's great. Yeah, you don't put your shoes away.
Yeah.
A third tip is, where possible, add vertical storage. So again, this goes back to the floor to ceiling cabinets. If you can, I always love the look. It's sleek, everything's hidden, that's the best. We couldn't do that. So what we decided to do was add some hooks and add them 2 rows on top of each other. That gave us lots of vertical space to use and allowed a spot for our kids to hang up all their backpacks and purses and all of those types of things.
And what's even better is if you can make vertical storage with scrap wood.
Which Russell did.
Yeah, because who wants to pay for things? I don't.
It's a very budget-friendly makeover. Our 4th tip is zoning the space. In some spaces, the zones are already naturally created. In our old entry, we had an actual kind of open doorway, and the flooring changed between the entry and the hallway, so it was really obviously 2 separate zones. But our new house was not like that. When you walked into our house, you were basically walking into the living room. There was no definition between any sort of entry and any sort of living room space. So when we did something so living room, we ended up shifting all of the furniture so that there was actually backs of chairs towards the entry space. So where the chairs end and the rug ended, it kind of defined that living room space as going beyond that. And in front of that, we put a new rug down, a ruggable, washable rug. And that one helps center the entry space and define that as its own space.
Yep.
And our 5th style tip is simply to accessorize your space smartly.
Yeah, if anyone knows Lindy, she loves her some good accessorizing.
I do. The biggest thing for me is creating some kind of drop zone in the entryway a spot to put your keys, put your sunglasses, put his wallet, because he loses it every day if he doesn't put it in the same spot.
Keys, but...
Put your mail. Russell made a tray for me last year. That was like a thrift project.
Yeah, it's from the thrift store.
That is the perfect drop zone accessory. Something like that, or a basket, something to just have a place to put all those things. And then the accessorizing comes in when you put a plant and a basket and accessorize around that, kind of balance it on the cabinet. In our old entry, we had a little stool that was pretty, but also was a functional piece that people sat on and put their shoes on. We had a basket that was pretty when we styled it and put blankets in it, but often it held mittens and hats and things. So functional accessorizing.
We're really happy with how this came together for the budget and the time that it took. You will notice that there is the freshly made over fireplace, which we also redid, so be sure to check out that video. But overall, it turned out really good.
Such a limited budget, reusing a lot of the pieces we already had and or building what we didn't have. Again, it's not a dream entry, but it is a much more functional entry, and I think the 5 tips for styling an entry would work with pretty much any entry space.
And again, a huge thanks to SmartWings for sponsoring this video, and the electric blinds are just a lot of fun, and they really cleaned up the space.
Thank you everyone for watching. We have more great reno videos coming your way soon. Please stay tuned. Can't wait to show those to you. And thanks so much for watching.
Catch you next time.